Millionaire Julian Cooper never liked surprises. His life was woven from precision. Meetings, deals, funds, investments, everything obeyed strict schedules. Even his emotions he had long since locked behind thick glass. Since the day he lost his wife, Clara, and daughter Lily, a coldness settled in his heart, the same coldness as the marble in his vast mansion. He left for London for 2 weeks. Negotiations, contracts, new partners. The manager assured him that everything at home was under control, and a new housekeeper, a middle-aged woman named Hope, had already been hired. Julian didn't care. The main condition was not to enter his private rooms, especially his study, where the photographs of Clara and Lily were kept. But fate decided otherwise. Business in London unexpectedly wrapped up early, and Julian, driven by his usual need to control everything, decided to return without warning. The plane landed in the city late in the evening. Drizzle sliced through the air. The limousine's headlights cut through the damp fog. When the car drove into the private alley leading to the tall wrought-iron gates, everything looked as perfect as ever. The even lawn, the manicured fir trees, impeccable order. Yet an anxiety strange and baseless grew inside Julian. "Should we inform security that you've returned?" the driver cautiously asked. "No," Julian replied curtly. "I want to see for myself what happens here when I'm gone." The gate swung open silently. The house was plunged in darkness. Only one window glowed with a soft yellow light. The kitchen. At this hour, Julian frowned. He entered the house, inhaling the familiar scent of lemon and polish. Everything was immaculately clean. And yet, something light, almost inaudible, was rustling somewhere ahead. Approaching the kitchen, he pushed the door open and froze. Hope stood in the middle of the floor. Modestly dressed, with a weary face, she was surrounded by dozens of photographs. Old, faded, but neatly smoothed out, the pictures lay around her like a scattering of destinies. Julian recognized them instantly. Clara, Lily. Their smiles, his past, his pain. Hope held one photograph in her hands and was silently weeping. Her lips whispered barely audibly, "Forgive me. My dear girl, forgive me." "What are you doing?" Julian asked hoarsely. She flinched so sharply, as if struck by an electric current. She turned and turned pale. The photograph slipped from her fingers, softly falling to the floor. I didn't know you had returned. Forgive me. Where did you get these photographs?" Julian's voice turned to steel. "They were in an old box, in the study. I accidentally." She lowered her eyes. Julian picked up the picture. Lily, a 6-year-old girl, pigtails, a smile. "You had no right to touch them," he hissed. "No one did." Hope nodded, but a different kind of look flashed in her eyes. Pain. Real pain. "I know, but I just couldn't resist. I knew your daughter." These words hit him in the chest like a knife. "What did you say?" Julian took a step forward. "What do you mean, knew?" "I worked at the hospital," she whispered, "where she was that day." Julian's legs gave way. Fragments of memories flashed before his eyes. The accident, the sirens, the white corridor, the doctor's words. "We did everything we could." "You were there?" "Yes, I was that nurse." She bowed her head. I held her hand. In her last moments. Everything he had so carefully locked inside suddenly burst through. Pain, guilt, emptiness. He sank into a chair. "Why didn't you tell me?" "I didn't want to disturb you. I thought you wouldn't even remember me. I just wanted to take care of the house where she had lived. It was the only thing I could do." A long silence filled the room. Only the rain outside tapped against the glass. "Gather them up," he finally said quietly. "We'll talk tomorrow." The night passed without sleep. The study, filled with memory, seemed alive. Photographs, toys, letters, everything reminded him of the life that was cut short. In the morning, he summoned Hope. She entered quietly, her eyes lowered. "Sit down, I want to know everything." And she told him. 6 years ago, Lily was admitted to the hospital after the accident. There were almost no chances from the start, but the girl held on. And all the time she asked, "Will Daddy come?" "He always comes." But Julian was abroad then. He didn't make it in time. After the girl's death, Hope couldn't continue working. She quit. Disappeared. But the memory of those final minutes lived within her. And one day, seeing Lily's house in a magazine, she understood. It was a sign, a chance to return to what she had lost. "I lost my husband and daughter in that same accident," she quietly added. "Our cars collided at that intersection. I am your person from the other car." Julian went pale. 2 worlds, 2 families, 1 tragedy. They talked for a long time. They cried. They were silent. They turned the pages of the old album he hadn't opened for 6 years. And one evening, when Julian entered the nursery, he saw Hope by the window. A small box stood on the windowsill. "I found this," she said, "Lily's drawings." He opened the box and his heart stopped. Among the drawings was one where Lily had drawn a figure in a white gown. The caption read, "Aunt Hope, kind." Julian closed his eyes. Lily remembered her, even then. "Sometimes God sends us pain to bring us back love through it," Hope said, and for the first time in 6 years Julian smiled. "Thank you, not for the cleaning, but for returning to me, not my memory, but my life." "No, Mr. Cooper," she said softly, "it was your Lily who brought you back to me." Since then, laughter, quiet but alive, was heard again in the Cooper house. Julian became a different man. He opened a children's ward in his daughter's memory and began to spend more time at home. And Hope, the one who came from the very heart of his tragedy, became part of the family, the keeper of a light that no one could replace. And every time he walked past the kitchen, Julian saw she was still wiping the frames of the photographs, but now with a smile, because the pain had finally gone.